Christianity is the religion of love. I, a super atheist, whatever that means, would wholeheartedly agree. Christianity is all about love, the love of hatred, the love of oppression, the love of power and control, the love of hurting other people. Their desire to put the Ten Commandments in classrooms rather than the Sermon on the Mount shines a light on the reality that, despite their claims of being a religion of compassion, cruelty is the point, and there is no hate like Christian love. Have you ever noticed that when Christians want parts of the Bible in schools, it's never the part Jesus said? In fact, it's literally part of the Old Covenant that they like to shy away from anytime you point out how horrific it is. When you start talking about how God drowned all the babies in the flood or how he told his people to commit genocide but to keep the virgin girls for themselves as sex slaves, Christians start to cringe. Then bring up how he never does anything in the Bible in a reasonable, wise, thoughtful manner. It's always the threat of high violence for the slightest of indiscretions. And you'll find Christians scurrying away from the OT like roaches from the light. But when it comes time to impose their religious nonsense on our children in public schools, they are all too eager to run back to the Old Testament's God of hate. Instead of blessed are the peacemakers, they want to teach our children worship no other God before me or face my wrath. Remember, there's always wrath. When you look at the actions of conservative Christian politicians in Texas and Oklahoma, it's clear. The Ten Commandments are being presented as moral foundations. They want to force on to everyone's children while vilifying the words of Jesus as part of some woke agenda. The Ten Commandments are not a religious moral guide. They are authoritarian dictates reaching out from the ancient deserts of the Middle East and oppressing the people of today in every way they can. And which version of the Ten Commandments do they want to put in classrooms? Oh, that's right, the Charlton Heston edition. Here's something you may not know about the Ten Commandments, though. The Israelites approached Mount Sinai, and God gave them the Ten Commandments the Christians want to put on the walls in our schools. Exodus 20:1-17. Most people think it stopped there, but it didn't. Essentially, the people became fearful of God's voice and backed away from the mountain. Then God continued with over 600 more laws that include things like Exodus 20:20, the law against sacrificing to other gods with the penalty of being utterly destroyed, of course. Never a sit down, never a, hey, let's be reasonable, never a, let me show you why I'm the best God and why you should follow me. It's always utterly destroyed. Exodus 21:17, the law that commands the death penalty for cursing one's father or mother. Exodus 22:18, the law that says, do not allow a sorceress to live. Are these holy or horrific? Why don't Christians want these commandments up on the walls in our schools as well? So you can see why not the Sermon on the Mount, right? It's Jesus's actual message, compassion, mercy, and humility. And remember, conservatives are all about the punishment, the retribution, the pain. Cruelty is the point for these people, and we've seen it over and over again. As soon as they get any kind of political power, instead of using it to help people, they instantly start using that power to harm and be cruel to people. Whether it's the gays, the trans people, atheists, heretics, apostates, or just women in general. They are always looking for someone to oppress. Hell, how many people were oppressed by the church simply for being left-handed? Don't believe me? Go look it up. They are always looking for someone to hurt. So you can imagine how Jesus' teachings of peace and love are completely non-existent in the actions of these people. Here are some of the key quotes. Blessed are the meek. Love your enemies. Turn the other cheek. And of course, we can't forget the golden rule spoken by Jesus himself. So in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you. For this sums up the law and the prophets. The Sermon on the Mount is allegedly part of the Christian ethical core, so where is it? Even the Old Testament has good teachings Christian conservatives specifically love to ignore. When a foreigner resides in your land, do not mistreat them. The foreigner residing among you must be treated as your native born. Where is the Christian outrage against ICE and the way white supremacist U.S. conservative party MAGA is treating immigrants in our nation? Oh, sure, a couple of churches have raised their voices, but the number of them is shamefully few. Every pulpit should be crying out against Trump's immigrant atrocity, but all we get are crickets. And part of it is directly because at the real core of Christianity is an authoritarian mindset. There's a single boss, God, and he's in charge. Period. He has a general in Jesus and lots of colonels and majors and captains in the angelic horde, but authoritarian just the same. There is no democracy in heaven. Hitchens likened heaven to a celestial North Korea, and I'm inclined to agree. And it fits perfectly with what the MAGA Christian political movement wants: iron-fisted rule by a single authoritarian dictator. The beginning of each commandment is firm, direct, thou shalt not, while the ending is vague, Don't covet? What the hell does that mean? Define that in modern applications. Thou shalt not take the Lord's name in vain? Really? He's that shallow that you can't, he's that sensitive? Don't worship images. Okay. So apparently he is that shallow. And even the do not murder commandment is immediately ignored by the God creature and its chosen people. And all of these commandments or laws are tied to punishments, not principles. It's always about do this or I'm going to hurt you, rather than do this and you'll be a better person and the world will be a better place. Try building a political party on blessed are the merciful and you'll soon find out that turning the other cheek doesn't win elections with Christians. Love your enemies doesn't fit the general Christian desire to dominate the rest of us with their oppressive hate faith. Those who claim they don't think their religion should be imposed on others will all too happily turn right around and vote for those who will. The 10 Commandments are religious theater. Commandments that the God creature himself and his chosen people instantly chose not to follow. He tells them not to kill, then commands them to commit genocide. Being nice to people, turning the other cheek, not oppressing those who are different, not forcing your religious nonsense on other people. Does any of this describe the actions of Christians to you? Clearly, you can see why Christians don't want to force these moral notions on our children, because it doesn't align with the hatred in their hearts. Because Jesus is inconvenient. He told rich people to give up wealth. He told people to forgive constantly. If you practice Jesus' teachings without displaying the hatred and animosity towards others that the Christians so much like to see, then you'd lose followers. Commandments look better on granite. Sermon on the Mount, not so much. Doesn't engrave well. One sounds like law, the other sounds woke. Christianity is about control, power, oppression, and cruelty. And we see that demonstrated by the followers of this blight on humanity all the time. If it were about Jesus, they'd be quoting "Blessed are the peacemakers" in every school hallway. Instead, we get a rule about not coveting your neighbor's property, such as his goat or his wife. Of course, I'm an atheist who doesn't want any of this nonsense in our schools at all. I'm just pointing out the glaring contradiction that most people, I feel, seem to either ignore or they just don't realize. Why do the Christians want the Old Testament commandments instead of the Sermon on the Mount? Because, if nothing else, Christians love to hate. And as they've demonstrated over and over again, cruelty is the point. If you like my videos and you like what I do, click over here to check out my latest video. And if you're into the Atheist Top 10 things, click over here. Sin safely, my friends. Take care.